All right, NFL draft just we got 2.5 weeks, 17 days until the NFL draft
Is that it?
gets underway. Yeah, April 25th, and this is the nastiest part of the draft process because now that you have draft boards settling in, you have teams trying to jockey for position, whether it's smoke signals on who they may or may not take to drum up interest, or you have negative stories being leaked by franchises or scouts. And this is the seediest part of all of it, where they try to knock down the public perception of a particular draft prospect because a team wants him to fall
push
to
him
him.
down.
The latest comes from LSU wide receiver Malik Nabers. And this is the scummy part where the red flags are starting to pop up about Malik Nabers, about off-the-field questions, because he's known as a high-maintenance prospect that may struggle in a big city. So think of this. We're looking down at the draft boards, right? We're pretty much assured that we're going to have quarterbacks going off the board early. The Cardinals are likely going to take Marvin Harrison Jr. And then you get into a range here where you go, all right, which teams are going to need a receiver? The Chargers at 5, the Giants at 6, the Bears who sit 9th, the Jets maybe at 10, and Atlanta sitting at 8th. I don't think they're going to go wide receiver. But all of these big cities that are sitting in there, everybody that's going to be in that range of run on wide receivers, we have this now coming out because there's probably a smaller city, maybe it's New Orleans or Denver or Minnesota later in the draft, Jacksonville, who are sitting there and going, all right, how do we get one of these top prospects to fall to us? And this is the scummy part of the draft process right now.
And this not unusual. On the flip side of this, though, you do get is this a team trying to force it down, or is this other players and agents trying to force things down?
That's a good point.
Because the thing that I will maintain, I've said this over and over and over again. Rome Odunze is Mike Evans 2.0. He's Larry Fitzgerald 2.0. Not the same as players, but I don't think you're ever going to worry about him, Justin Jefferson, Stephon Diggs, Terrell Owens, being a pain in the ass. He's going to show up, be great for a decade, be a great guy in your community, and never have to worry about him. Not once. Whereas Marvin Harrison Jr. is already showing this guy's going to be a nightmare.
Yeah. And
Malik Nabers, maybe he is an issue, but like this is another way for agents and of other players to not only knock somebody else down if they hear that Nabers is maybe rising behind the scenes. And I'm not saying that Odunze's agent is doing this. I'm using that as an example. But this kind of stuff, if you don't think that this happens in drafts, you're out of your bleeping mind.
And the thing that is so stupid about all of it is that anybody that's going to be taking Malik Nabers in that range of whether it's 5 all the way down to 15 or whatever, you don't think that they're all doing their own homework on the guide to figure out all of these things? All they're trying to do is manipulate fans, right? And fan pressure, because every single team is having these conversations with all these guys. Top 30 visits. You get them at the combine. You get them at their pro day. You get them at whether you're going down to their campus and scouts doing their recon. You bring them in your top 30 visits where you're sitting down with this guy. Obviously, all of these teams are going to have some level of comfort. It's all to manipulate the public perception. And if a team is dumb enough to buckle to the public perception of maybe there's something we don't know about this guy, spoiler alert, almost every single wide receiver, they've got that diva quality about them. And almost every single player that is being drafted has to go through this. All right, well, how will they assimilate to a big city with a lot of money? Because how many dominant football programs are truly in big cities? USC, UCLA, University of Miami. Outside of that, it's a crapshoot on
University of small town, yeah.
University of Washington, but also like nobody's really thinking of that like New York or LA or anything like that. The lifestyle is so different. And so every single team goes through, all right, if we pull this guy out of, Baton Rouge or College Station or Norman, Oklahoma or Stillwater, Oklahoma, how are they going to
It's the
assimilate
pressures
to
of Northwestern University in Chicago.
Yeah, right? Yeah, but those guys, you're just sitting there like, dude, they'll be fine.
Yeah, they're fine.
They'll be fine. That 1400 he got on his SAT kind of makes us feel a little bit more comfortable about where he's at.
He'll use the better drugs.
But then there's real things that are popping up, like Trevonde Sweat, the defensive tackle out of Texas. Dane Brugler from The Athletic, he had a tweet about this. Sweat was arrested over the weekend for DUI, and almost immediately he tweeted out one of the things that teams have been looking and questioning Sweat on during the pre-draft process was his partying as an underclassman. They all made it a point of emphasis in the interview process, whether that's at the combine or in these top 30 prospect visits. And his team, his agent, his marketing people have all just kind of steered him to, that's a thing of the past. Obviously, this was enough to where teams had those questions about him leading up. And then you go and you get popped for a DUI, 19 days before the draft. Buddy, you're seeing your day 2 prospects start to slide down a little bit.
And this is the stuff that drives me absolutely insane. It's not that I didn't do incredibly dumb stuff at his age. I did worse. Well, not a DWI, but going out and partying? Like, come on. I don't hold that against guys, but like, this isn't, it's like the drug test in the NFL. It's an IQ test. Are you stupid enough to fail this when you know what's coming? You have the draft coming in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Keep your ass together for 3 weeks, dude. And that's got to make NFL teams go, this guy can't even do the bare minimum.
But there are teams that will be like, if we get a value on him, to hell with
that's
it.
Always there's the sliding scale of stupid to value.
And if you believe that your team has got a good culture, the Chiefs, they'll take these red flag
Antonio
guys.
Brown coming out of the gate.
They will, the Steelers, they will take a flyer on these guys because they'll say, our culture, our head coach, our veterans can keep this guy in check and kind of show him the way enough to where we don't really care that this is an issue.
Yeah.
If he was a day 1 guy, if he was a first-round pick, we'd see him slide into the second round.
Yeah.
I don't think this really changes his day 2 draft value, though. Is he going to be in the 30s or 40s? Probably not, but he'll be a second or third round pick because as you get down to the end of that second round, as you get down to the end of that third round, where you have good teams in draft position, they're going to go, yeah, we got that culture and we have a need, and he can be a dude for us still. You're talking about this guy's second or third in the defensive tackle projections in this draft.
I just hate that is the only thing that matters. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want this to ruin the kid's life, but I want it to hurt. I do. I want it to hurt.
And it's a weird thing to say. You hope it does.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like,
you hope it hurts him, but doesn't affect his.
I don't want to. I don't want
future.
to. I don't want to hurt his life, but
Yeah.
I want the right now. I want it to punch him in the face. Like, you complete dumbass. Not just for being stupid, but for doing what he did. Like, it's not something simple. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
we dismiss it because it happens all the time. It's the culture, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, no. And I want it to hurt for him, but I don't want it to ruin his life. You know what I mean? Like, that's the worst of this. Who was it? Was it Tunsil with the
gas mask that
mask?
his stepdad leaked?
Yeah. That's the worst of this. That's the worst of this stupid stuff.
Oh, well, and Lyle Collins. Remember Lyle Collins?
Yes, he was
he
tangentially investigated, but not even investigated. He was questioned.
His ex-girlfriend was murdered.
Yeah, and he was brought in for questioning.
Well, because he was one of the last people that saw her alive. He was never a suspect.
Yeah.
He was never a person of interest.
No, he was just brought in for questioning.
And he was cleared of all of it. Dude wasn't even drafted. He was first-round pick. Everybody's like, nope. Rightfully so. Rightfully so.
It was right after Aaron Hernandez, right?
That was something that he had no control over. He had zero control over.
Cost him millions of dollars.
Millions. And like that's the worst of it that you're talking about. This, I think it'll hurt from a little bit of slotting
Mhm.
in his salary, but something tells me teams are just going to sit there and go, yeah, we'll take him on day 2. He'll still be a day two pick, but get ready for nonsense season because it's here, and it's here in a big way. Malik Neighbors, they're trying to say he's a diva, won't work in a big city, and then you have Javonte Sweat, who gets arrested for DWI. Far more serious, and a guy who's going to be a second or third round pick projection, probably second round pick projection, sliding down draft boards, probably late second or third round if this things really get sideways. It's brutal. Ugh. Hey,
It's Intel season.
yeah. Smoke signals,
Mm-hmm.
subterfuge, all
Oh, yeah.
that stuff.